OpenAI is launching a desktop super app to replace the fragmented experience across ChatGPT web, mobile, and API. Microsoft just rolled back Copilot AI features from Windows after admitting users found it bloated and intrusive. The US charged 3 people with conspiring to export AI technology to China through fake companies. Russia passed sweeping new powers to ban or restrict any foreign AI tools. ByteDance released a new reasoning model called DeepThink R1 that matches OpenAI's O1 performance. And Tencent launched Hunyuan Turbo, their fastest AI model yet, processing text at 150 tokens per second. All right, let's start with the one that's getting the most attention. OpenAI is building something they're calling a desktop super app. And the reason this matters is actually pretty straightforward. Right now, if you use ChatGPT, the experience is fragmented. You've got the web version, the mobile app, the API, different interfaces for different use cases. Each one works differently. Each one has different features. It's messy. The Super App is OpenAI's attempt to fix that. Instead of jumping between platforms, you get one unified experience on your desktop that handles everything: chat, voice, image generation, coding, file analysis, all of it in one place. Now, that might not sound revolutionary at first, but think about it like this. When you're working, you're probably switching between browser tabs, desktop apps, maybe your phone. Every time you switch, you lose context. You have to re-explain what you're doing. The AI doesn't remember what you were working on 2 minutes ago in a different interface. A desktop super app changes that. It sits on your computer, always available, maintains context across everything you do. You can work on a document, ask questions about it, generate images related to it, write code based on it, all without ever leaving the same environment. And here's where it gets even interesting. OpenAI has been watching how people actually use AI. Most people aren't building complex workflows. They're doing simple things repeatedly, writing emails, analyzing documents, generating content, asking questions. But they're doing it across fragmented tools. The Super App consolidates that. It's designed around how people actually work, not how engineers thought they would. The Wall Street Journal reports that OpenAI views this as a way to refocus and simplify the user experience. That's code for, we've made this too complicated and people are getting confused. And that connects directly to what just happened at Microsoft. Now, while OpenAI is building towards simplification, Microsoft is pulling back from complexity. And the story here is actually revealing. Microsoft just rolled back several Copilot AI features from Windows. TechCrunch reports that the company admitted users found the integration bloated and intrusive. Let's break down what that actually means. Over the past year, Microsoft pushed Copilot everywhere in Windows. Start menu, taskbar, search, file explorer, settings. The idea was that AI should be accessible from anywhere in the operating system. In practice, people hated it. The features felt forced. They cluttered the interface. They interrupted workflows instead of helping them. And most importantly, they didn't actually solve problems people had. So, Microsoft is now removing Copilot from several core Windows interfaces. The taskbar icon is gone by default. The integration with search is less aggressive. File Explorer is getting a cleaner interface without constant AI suggestions. This is important because it shows something fundamental about AI deployment. Just because you can put AI everywhere doesn't mean you should. Microsoft's approach was to integrate AI into every possible surface. OpenAI's new approach is the opposite. One unified place where AI actually works well instead of scattered features that mostly get in the way. And there's a broader lesson here. The companies that win with AI won't be the ones that shove it into every feature. They'll be the ones that figure out where AI actually helps and where it just creates noise. Microsoft is learning that lesson the hard way. OpenAI seems to have figured it out before shipping. Now, while those two stories are about product strategy, the next three are about something much more serious: geopolitical control over AI technology. The U.S. Department of Justice just charged 3 people with conspiring to illegally export AI technology to China. Reuters reports that the scheme involved creating fake companies to disguise the real destination of the technology.
Here's how it worked. The defendants allegedly set up shell companies that looked like legitimate U.S. businesses. These companies would purchase advanced AI chips and software. Then they'd ship it all to China through intermediaries, bypassing export controls. The technology involved includes chips used for training large AI models. U.S. export controls specifically restrict sending these chips to China because they can be used for military applications or surveillance systems. One of the defendants worked at a company with direct access to cutting-edge AI hardware. Another operated the shell companies. The third handled logistics and shipping. What makes this case interesting is the timing. The U.S. has been tightening AI export controls for over a year. These restrictions cover not just the chips themselves, but also the software, technical data, and even knowledge about how to build AI systems. China has responded by trying to acquire the technology through indirect channels, fake companies, academic partnerships, investment deals that hide the real buyers. This case shows one of those channels getting caught. The charges include conspiracy to violate export controls, wire fraud, and smuggling. If convicted, each defendant faces up to 20 years in prison. And this connects directly to what Russia just did.
Russia just passed legislation giving itself sweeping powers to ban or restrict any foreign AI tools operating in the country. Reuters reports that the new law allows the government to block AI services that don't comply with Russian data storage and content moderation requirements. The practical impact is pretty clear. Any AI company that wants to operate in Russia now has to store user data on Russian servers, comply with government requests for content filtering, and potentially give authorities access to how the AI systems work. Most Western AI companies won't do that, which means Russia is effectively creating a walled garden for AI, similar to what China has done. OpenAI's ChatGPT is already blocked in Russia. Google's AI services are heavily restricted. Anthropic's Claude isn't available. This new law formalizes that situation and extends it to any future AI tools. But here's the interesting part. Russia isn't just blocking foreign AI, they're also pushing domestic alternatives. Yandex has been developing AI models. Sber has its own AI assistant. The government is funding research into Russian-language AI systems. The pattern is clear. Just like with internet services in the 2000s and 2010s, we're seeing AI fragment along geopolitical lines. The U.S. has its own AI ecosystem. China has its own. Russia is building its own, and each system is increasingly isolated from the others. That fragmentation has real consequences. AI models trained primarily on English data don't work as well in Russian or Chinese. Models trained on censored Chinese data can't access the same information as Western models. Russian AI systems operating in isolation won't benefit from global research collaboration. We're not heading towards one unified global AI. We're heading towards 3 or 4 separate AI ecosystems that barely talk to each other. Now, while geopolitics plays out, Chinese companies are still shipping products, and 2 new models just dropped that are worth paying attention to. ByteDance released DeepThink R1, a reasoning model that they claim matches OpenAI's O1 performance, and Tencent launched Hunyuan Turbo, their fastest model yet. Let's start with DeepThink R1. The interesting thing here isn't just that it's competitive with OpenAI's O1, it's how ByteDance built it. Instead of using OpenAI's approach, which involves reinforcement learning and complex training setups, ByteDance used a technique called distillation. Basically, they took existing reasoning data, used it to train a smaller model, and optimized for speed and efficiency. The result is a model that can handle multi-step reasoning tasks, mathematical problems, and complex logic puzzles at a level comparable to O1, but it runs faster and costs less to operate. 36K reports that DeepThink R1 is already being integrated into ByteDance's enterprise products. That means Chinese companies can now access reasoning AI capabilities without depending on Western models. And then there's Hunyuan Turbo. This one is focused purely on speed. The model processes text at 150 tokens per second, which is roughly 2 to 3 times faster than most competing models. Now, raw speed isn't everything, but in certain applications it matters a lot. Real-time translation, live customer support, interactive coding assistance. In those cases, latency is the bottleneck.
Hunyuan Turbo is designed specifically for those use cases. Tencent is targeting developers who need fast inference more than they need the absolute highest quality output. And pricing is competitive. According to 36K, it costs roughly 30 to 40% less than comparable Western models for the same workload. Both of these models show something important. Chinese AI companies aren't just copying Western approaches anymore. They're finding different optimization points, faster models, cheaper models, models that work better with Chinese language data. And because they're operating in a separate ecosystem, they can iterate quickly without worrying about competing directly with OpenAI or Anthropic on the same benchmarks. So let's connect these stories because they actually fit together. OpenAI is building a desktop super app to simplify the user experience. Microsoft is pulling back bloated AI features because users rejected them. The US is prosecuting people for illegally exporting AI to China. Russia is building walls around its domestic AI ecosystem, and Chinese models are shipping competitive models that work in isolation from Western AI systems. None of this is moving slowly. OpenAI Superapp is coming soon. Microsoft's rollback is already happening. The export control prosecutions are accelerating. Russia's AI restrictions are in effect, and Chinese models are shipping right now. The unified global AI ecosystem that a lot of people imagined, that's not what we're getting. We're getting fragmentation, competition, and increasingly separate technological paths. All right, that's what's happening in AI right now. 6 stories with one pattern. Fragmentation is accelerating. If this was valuable, subscribe to the Read AI. We break down AI news like this every day. Drop a comment. Which of these 6 stories has the biggest long-term impact? I actually want to know because it helps me decide what to cover next. And if someone you know is overwhelmed by AI news, share this. That's how we grow. I'm Alex. I'll catch you in the next one.